I don't know. We might be live, but let's see. Let's see if we're ready to be live yet. I'm on. All right, cool. So I'm on. We're on a little bit of a delay here, so but I am seeing you guys' questions and everything. Thank you so much for the comments and all that stuff. Thank you for watching and taking time out of your Sundays to watch. So let's just go through some of the questions here. Can you describe a universal BNC attachment system, and what motors are used? I use what's called a slow-geared motor. If you look it up, usually a DNC motor or DC motor spins pretty fast, so you have to put an extra gear on there to slow it down. The BNC attachments, I wouldn't actually recommend them because they're kind of wonky. I actually switched over to just using a hub and an Allen key to tighten that stuff. Let's see, what else do we got for other questions here? I'd love to know more about how you got into doing this. You said it was 2007. What happened in 2007 that led you to this field of work? That's a great question. Thank you. I actually played music and, for a long time before that. I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I can play a few instruments. I was always into like creative stuff, music, graffiti, and graphic design. And honestly, I really thought I was going to be a musician, but then I started doing the hobby as the light show just as a hobby, and like people really liked it, and my music, I liked it, but not many other people liked the music. So, people really responded to it, so that just kept it going, and I felt that. Steve, do you have a good build guide for a splotoscope or an aquarium bubbler? I don't at the moment. If you talk to Graham Walford from Heavy Light in Vermont, he builds really, really good ones. He's a great craftsman. If you find him on Heavy Light, he's a great person to talk to. Let's see. Can the Nintendo be played during the set? Yes. And we actually did a glitch Nintendo night at a local bar around here, and had people play, while I had a video mixer and stuff set up, and they played normal. And when Mario ate the mushroom, that's when the stuff kicked in. And I actually watched somebody, while the whole thing was glitched out, by memory beat the first level. It was incredible. Like, he couldn't even see the game, so that was pretty sweet. Do you think the analog liquid live visual is going up? Are there more people coming up and more people doing liquid light shows? Is it trendy? Could be the new hype? As far as hype goes, it's still very niche. I still have to have a regular job. I make some side money off of this and all that, but it's not really, it's definitely not like mainstream or anything close to that. You do it for the love. Have you heard of Heavy Water Light Show? Absolutely. Heavy Water is wonderful, and they actually did the really sick album cover art on the Santana 3 cover. And they think they did a couple of other album covers, and it was a female-run light show. And I heard one of the ladies actually went and became a nun, and like nobody heard from her afterwards. Can you speak more on the elevated Lumia table? Sure. Yeah, it's basically just a rotating, turntable, and on top of that, I put whatever kind of stuff that I think is shiny or reflective or cool or whatever. So yeah, and it can control speed. I have another one actually, which is a LED. It's a circular LED light, and that also spins. At the moment, it's kind of broken, and it makes a lot of noise, so I didn't use it for this one. This analog stuff just craps out, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Besides oil dyes and watercolors, do you use other additives for special effects? Yeah, sure. I'm not going to give away all the secrets, but glycerin, rubbing alcohol are some good ones to use. Putting air into something is also pretty effective. So that's stuff that you can do. Do you happen to know how many lumens those 60s overhead projectors have? Regular and big rigs. So a regular overhead projector from the 60s was pretty weak. I'd say like, 3,000 lumens back then would have been good. The ones that I use, the Duquesne 4003s, those go up to 4,000 lumens. Those are probably the best ones. And those are the limits of what is known as a, what's it called, like an incandescent bulb. But you can get into an HMI bulb, which is like an arc light, and those types of projectors go up to like 7.5 to 10,000 lumens. And an arc light is sort of like, when you see a baseball stadium lights turn on and they take a long time to turn on, that's sort of the kind of light that's inside one of those. Let's see. What kind of digital cameras are those with zoom controls off to the side? These are just prosumer Sonys. They're older Sonys, and you can get them a lot cheaper now. The nice thing about them is the lenses are all interchangeable. So I have several different lenses, and I didn't get to show it during my talk, but I also have these like attachments and stuff that go to it, and you can screw these on underneath. And I just kind of got into, Sony cameras, and over time built up the lenses and have all these attachments, so I stuck with the Sony. Mentos and Pepsi. Yeah, you can do Mentos and Pepsi. Let's see, what else do we have? Are you going to have more of the glass sets for sale sometime? Yes, actually. We are building it up now. Basically, one of the problems was that we would just get like backed up on stuff. My friend Chris helps me package all this stuff and everything. We end up getting like so many orders, and people have to start waiting now for like a month to get them. And for us, it's stressful. It's not fair to the customers. So we're actually trying to get a stock first and then ship it out. So there's none of that. So those should be up next week. I think he's working on it this weekend. What else do we got? And let's see. Do you have much experience creating heat slides? What are the pros and cons of that strategy? Who are some big hitters in that style? Well, as mentioned earlier, Mark Boyle, who did like the Pink Floyd and Soft Machine back in the day, did a lot of heat slides as well. I'm not super big. I haven't done a lot of heat slides, but what I actually did was I filmed it instead of taking like a regular, like a slide and putting it in a slide projector. I actually built a rig once where I just put some liquids and stuff inside of a glass thing and raised it. And I took like a heat gun, like for a construction industrial grade heat gun, and heated up the liquids that way. And I boiled them and I filled them with the camera. And I actually have that in my Resolume rig. What kind of digital cameras are those with the zoom on the side? We already answered that. I also want to explore microscopy. Yeah, microscope stuff is very cool. I've used some USB microscopes. Mine only went to like 100 times magnification, which isn't very good. Not super familiar with how things look down there, but I think you probably want to get to like 1,000 times if you're going to really look at something cool and see stuff that you can't see with, the naked eye or a spyglass. Do you have a favorite color? Yeah, the rainbow. I love like all the colors together. That's literally my favorite color, is just a whole spectrum of them all at once. I love seeing that. Can digital cameras turn off during a presentation because of overheating? Yeah, cameras can overheat for sure. Yep. Let's see. What else do we have? Who are the two current artists you showcased in your talk? Yes, thank you. That was Dennis Keefe, who was the guy who did all that crazy stuff. We call it the Medusa. He calls it the Medusa. He's been around since the 60s, and he actually also built if you ever seen like a Mad Alchemy show, he's the one who built all that digital stuff. So he retrofitted his overhead projectors and put, digital cameras in the top, and then he put LEDs in there. So he's the guy responsible for that. And the other artist is Akiko Nakayama, and she does some incredible avant-garde work in Japan. I've reached out to collaborate with her, but we obviously live tens of thousands of miles away from each other. So maybe someday. Let's see, what else do we got here? Who were your mentors? I mean, I learned a lot from myself, but a couple years ago I became real good friends with Joshua White of Joshua Light Show, and definitely consider him a mentor and just like a friend, and I like to call him a consigliere. So he's definitely been real big on it. Also, there was a guy, a guy who passed away. Shit, what the hell am I forgetting his name now? Yeah, sorry, I'm spacing out. I get nervous in names, but yeah, sorry, Bob Lewis. He actually, when he passed away, left me like literally a full minivan of light show stuff, and he's been doing light shows for a long time, and he ended up giving me a lot of stuff, and that I've used in my work and all that stuff. So he's also been a big inspiration. You know, and mentors like, you know, acid and nature. So that's kind of things that I've learned from. What kind of digital projectors do you use? Look powerful. Yeah, the one behind me is like a 10,000 lumen one. I got another 10K, and so one of the things that I do actually, you know, for a day job is I work in AV. I'm an audiovisual engineer. You know, because of music and learning light shows and stuff, I eventually got into just learning how to do it, and I've been doing that actually for a long time. And one of the things that there's a real benefit, and I would suggest this to anybody who's, you know, an artist that does this kind of work, because it's really freaking difficult to make a good living off of it, is since you already know these skills of like signal paths and tech and stuff like that, get into AV. I mean, and there's actually an old guy problem. The older people who know how to do it are retiring, and younger people don't know the tech as much. So, and to backtrack, a lot of my projectors were actually given to me straight up from like retrofitting a space, and boom, I get to like take the projector home. And I got a 12K lumen projector that I project in a room that's like 12 by 12. So, yeah. I don't know how much more time we have here. I'm going to keep going until the moderators, I guess, you know, cut me off, or until you guys get bored of me talking. Oh, this is a good question. Do you use polarized wheels and polarized effects on 35 millimeter slides? I've never actually used them, but I have a collection, which I got from Bob Lewis after he passed, of you know, 35 millimeter Codalit slides that are opposites to each other. And when you put the polarization over it, they'll, you know, sort of strobe and whatever. And actually Neil Rice from Optokinetics, who's a friend of mine, he's taught me a lot about this kind of technology as well. Let's see. Got time for a few more questions. Let's see. We can go up. Can you recommend any vendors for tools you use, like Lumia parts? Great question, and you have to make it all yourself. There's pretty much nobody who makes this kind of stuff. So it's just you have to manufacture it yourself. So that's, you know, that's something there. What's it called? My producer is giving me signals. Oh, yeah, and which is fun, and it's fun making it. We actually made the Candela wheel together, which I named after my future wife, who's here. Let's see, what else do we got? What kind of brand are slide projectors good for a show? You know, I've used just like Kodak carousels, but yeah, if you try using one of these in a show or art installation, I mean, they jam up. They're tough to use. There are, you know, you can also use like, you know, metal slide projectors. Actually, I got one here, the Aldis Tudor. So let's see. This is like a classic, I don't know if you can see it, but this is like a classic, yeah, projector here. That one's really cool. And one thing actually, because you guys mentioned something about, you know, heat slides, don't try to boil slides in a carousel if it's plastic. You've got to have a metal slide projector to do it, because you'll, you know, burn something. Let's see. Handheld Lumias, yeah. So I mean, Lumia really is just like, if you want to do it in its most basic way, just get like a projector or a light source or anything, and take a piece of Mylar and just grab Mylar and start reflecting it or something. Maybe put like a stiffer back on it. You can also do like, actually, Elizabeth, can you hand me those two things actually? I'll show you some other stuff that I use for, yeah, yeah. I'll show you some Lumia stuff that we use as well, which is, really cool. And these days, using a digital projector is actually really cool for Lumia, because you can use it as like, you can, you're not limited to just like a slide or something static. You can like control the kind of light and patterns that go into the Lumia. I've actually used the Vidiot actually to push some of it through. These would be some of the, things that we use for Lumia. This thing here with the back, you gotta want to be able to stretch it a little bit. This one's cool when you like rub your hands on it. It does some cool effects. This is cool too. And you can also do this as well. You don't necessarily have to do it in a big venue anymore. I'm sorry, you don't really have to have like the, big setup for it. I've done Lumia with Elizabeth, where we just put like a board under our cameras and took the lights that you saw earlier and used those as light sources, and then picked up the lights with that. So that's actually a really cool way to do Lumia now. Because again, like you do stuff, and it's the modern concert environment. You're usually just relegated to front of house. A lot of times you get a really small space at front of house. Front of house is like the sound booth and lighting booth area. So you kind of like, those sick light shows from back in the day, you're kind of now like, you can't really do things that same way, but you can get creative and still, especially with the use of the cameras, basically do a lot of that stuff. Let's see. What else do we have? Does the Elmo have serial control? Have you tried controlling it, syncing it to other devices? No, I don't know if I don't think it's got RS-232. It does have MIDI, which I've tried to control, but it doesn't work well. The MIDI's not, it doesn't work as well as you think you would. Something that I have used for a controller that I think is really cool. I showed it earlier in my slides, and it's there. Was it Boss or Korg or whatever? They make what's it called, a MIDI foot pedal pad. It's got like 12 different switches that you hit with your feet and 2 expression pedals, and basically you like choose which slider you'd want by hitting one of those things, and then the expression pedals on the right control the parameters. And that's actually really good for doing like liquids, where you got to use both of your hands, but you want to start like switching between clips. You can use your feet. Definitely takes a bit of practice to getting used to, though, because it's a lot to do at once. Let's see. So, Steve, maybe need a monthly show. Sure, I'm actually thinking, about possibly doing like I don't know, maybe like a Patreon or something like that, or something. Just do this regularly. What kind of water inks colors do you use? Dr. Martin's pH Synchromatic watercolors. Those are the best. Dr. Martin makes other watercolors, but the Synchromatic ones have less like sediment in them. For camera-based stuff, you can kind of get away with, your colors being a bit like, cloudier or sedimenty. But if you're going to project it analog, that stuff will show up. So Dr. Martin's are the Synchromatic transparent are the cleanest ones. Let's see, what else we got here? I think it's Liquid Light Lab, isn't it? Yeah, it's Liquid Light Lab. Thank you for the comments and all that stuff. Let's see. So, yeah, the Roland V1 has external input too. Yeah. All right, so maybe I'm just going to stick around and maybe take a couple of questions, but yeah, we're going to wrap it up here in a few minutes. Really just want to say thank you for everybody who joined. This has been great. Elizabeth and I worked hard on this the last 2 days, and really the positivity from the comments really means a lot to me, so thank you. Let's see, what do we got? Yeah. That's it. So thank you very much, guys. everybody, and please stay safe out there. You know what's going on and everything. So let's stay safe. Let's take care of us. Take care of ourselves. Let's also be kind to each other. I know in like this climate, especially with politics, there's a lot of nasty stuff going on. Let's treat each other with humans, no matter how much you may despise the other side. So God bless everybody. Stay safe. Much love. Keep rocking.